as long as you haven't been living under a rock for the past decade or so, I think it's fair to say that men are pretty much done with society. If you look around, they're dropping out of school, avoiding relationships, quitting the workforce, and it seems like no one's really asking why, right? All these other propaganda problems that are pushed on us, it's all a distraction. And to me, the main issue is men are just checking out of society. And what's happening? Well, more men than ever, it seems, are disengaged in life as a whole, from socially, financially, emotionally, physically. And I mean, you can just look up the stats. There's less college attendance, less dating, less marriage, more divorce, and overall rising isolation. And many men feel invisible, unneeded, and overall unvalued. Why it's happening? Well, for starters, a lot of men feel that they have no purpose. Men don't see a meaning in a system that doesn't reward them. And this is essentially across the board. From marriage, of course, is a big one where it only favors women. Very little, if any, benefits come for men to get married nowadays. And in terms of just working, I mean, listen, the way a lot of jobs are, it's very difficult to get by with what a lot of men are getting paid. And this is something I want to talk about a little bit. Don't want to get too far off track here, but people growing up, right, I'm sure we've all heard people talk about how, immigrants are stealing jobs, and that's why we have to close the border up so us Americans can get the jobs and everything. But you know what one thing I have never seen talked about? That women have taken a lot of jobs from men. And no one seems to really talk about that for whatever reason. And I don't really understand why, right? I mean, this all started with the whole feminist movement garbage. And it just, to me, it gets worse and worse. And why it's a problem is because it's creating a supply and demand problem. Because back in the day, when you can live off of one income and the man just goes out and work and the woman stays home with the kids, it was doable. Because people, with inflation and everything like that, men were able to make more for their time. Now, since there's more people to pick from, not just immigrants alone, but I'm talking about like women are working as well in the workforce, it hurts they don't have to pay as much because women, there's just more people to hire from, one, and two, a lot of times women are just trying to get a part-time job, or they don't really care to make as much because they're the secondary breadwinner in the home. So that's a big problem too, is the jobs don't have to pay as much. They don't have to keep up with inflation because of that. And that's a big problem that I don't see no one talk about. And to me, it's only going to get worse because that's how it is, right? That's how it is in life now, is two parents have to work. And I just simply don't agree with that. And it doesn't seem like that's going to ever get better. And that leads to lack of role models. I don't really like to use role models too much. I believe role models it's a very overused term, and I believe the only role model you should have is yourself a year from now. If everyone lived life like that, especially men, that your role model is you from 1 year from today, I think it would help out a lot of men and put them in better positions to succeed and to overall make them a better man. But yeah, I mean, with women working, and it's just ridiculous, and everyone has their different opinions on it, but I just think that's really hurting overall the nuclear family, which overall hurts society and hurts men and women. But again, when you have both parents working and your kid's getting raised by someone else, whether it's a babysitter or they're getting dumped in daycare 5 days a week, it's not how it's supposed to be. And you can think, it's an outdated way of thinking, but it's really not. And I think it's a big problem of what goes on in society, and I think it does, and I think it really affects a lot of underlying issues is caused from this, and no one talks about it, right? The they don't care about that stuff. They care about abortions and transgenders and all this other stuff that really doesn't matter. Like, I'm sorry, it really doesn't. The most important thing is the family unit, and it just seems like no one cares. No one tries to fix that. And I think the first step in fixing that is having the women stay home while the men can work. Having women get out of the workforce, open up more jobs for men. That way the men can work. And that will give them purpose, right? And it comes along with, shaming masculinity. Society calls men toxic just for being men. So I probably get called toxic for wanting women to stay home and, taking care of the home and taking care of the children instead of going out there and working and taking jobs from men that should be working more or should deserve to get paid more. But, it's the world, society, and it's garbage. And overall, again, this whole thing is all connected to why men are checking out, because it also leads to unrealistic standards. Modern dating leaves men feeling very disposable, especially when you add in social media. It's just a whole mess, and it's so unrealistic for men to have to compete with other men on social media, the top 1%, because that's what women see, and that's how they think that's how their relationship should be. And even people that aren't, even the men that are not top 1%, you're only seeing the couple's highlight reels online on social media. So it's very unfair to compare your man to that. And a lot of men just don't want to put up with that, so they check out of relationships, and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to be constantly compared to someone's highlight reel. It's ridiculous. But what is the cost of checking out? When men give up, society ultimately collapses. If there's no builders, no protectors, no leaders, that leads to families breaking up, as we've been seeing. Like, this is nothing new. Everything I'm saying in this video is nothing new. Communities weaken. All these things, right? I'm telling you, it's an underlining problem where it starts in the homes and families, the nucleus family. It's breaking because men are losing their leadership and their ability to lead their own home, because the woman is having to go out there and work, and it's not right. It's not right. And it's I hope it gets better, but it doesn't. This is why I made the video earlier about politics does not matter, because they don't talk, like nothing gets talked about what actually matters. It's all distractions. It's all smoke and mirrors that we all see people try to argue and talk about. The underlying problem for me is just very obvious. And again, you have to start with the nucleus family to really start improving the world, society, and overall life for men. Because if a life for a man is improved, by extension, it helps their woman and it helps the kids. As the leader of the home, that makes sense, right? So I don't really know. It's very hard to fix this, because again, no one really seems to try and fix it. This is what we've came to. The norm is, yep, I'm gonna, everyone plans to have two incomes, and it's just not right. You get into marriage, you get into buying a home, you start a family, it's based off of two incomes. But when you want to, like I said, start a family, have a kid, or have multiple kids, the wife has to, be out of work for some type of time to give birth and to recover. And what are you going to do in that time frame, right? Because you're so reliant on both incomes, and it's just not right. It's not right. And then the woman goes right back to work, and the kid's left to fend for himself with some strangers raising him. It's complete garbage. But how men can fight back, how us men can fight back, the answer isn't to complain. It's to take control and to just do what you can to make your life as whole as possible. Build yourself first. Like I've always said, learn skills, have a good mindset, make as much money as possible. Try to take care of your body the best you can. Things they're not easy, but it's something you have to work towards every day. Really try to avoid porn. It's garbage. It really destroys a lot of your mindset and a lot of just your overall motivation. It's really bad. Find brotherhood if you can. Don't isolate yourself. I personally struggle with this because I don't really have a quote unquote brotherhood. I really am by myself a lot of the times. YouTube channel's been great. I have a couple friends that I talk to, but it's not it's not super in depth. It's really just, just friends bullshitting really. Don't really have a strong brotherhood that I can rely on. And you just have to try to lead when others don't. And you have to kind of go against society norms sometimes, because if you look around you, everyone's upset. Everyone hates their lives. Everyone's marriages sucks. Kids don't listen. Why would you want to be like everyone else? Why would you want to do what everyone else is doing? Because it's not working. So you have to learn to lead and think outside of the box. Because at the end of the day, the world does not care about excuses, but it does respect results. So the answer is to not check out. You have to just build yourself up to the best version of a man that you can possibly be. And you have to think for yourself. Part of that is thinking for yourself and observing your environment, and look around you and look at what's not working and what can work. And this is, again, you really got to dig deep into your brain and how you feel and what you really want in life and how you're going to achieve it. It's something that I battle with and I strive and I fight for every day. And I've come to the conclusion that, the first step is really just getting women out of the workforce. It really is. It truthfully is. And they people might not like that. People can say what they want, but it is for the better good. But again, no one talks about that. This is why I don't get involved in politics, because it's all smoke and mirrors. They trick people to think they're actually doing stuff, but they're really not. That is something that you really got to start doing first, is getting the women back in the house and getting the men out in the workforce, and getting them paid what they deserve so they can take care of their family without having to send their wife out to go work a job that she hates, that she has to sit there, and then she comes home, she's mad, she's complaining, she hates her job, the man hates their job, they barely get by both of them working, and it just trickles down to the kids. The kids don't get raised by them, and it's just, I don't know why would men want to be a part of that society? Why? So please leave your comments, feedback, thoughts below. And hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.